What's going on, guys? We're going to go over game settings. I'm also going to go over camera settings. What do the pro players use? What should you use? And also going to tell you some things that are causing delay. People are struggling with right stick switching, balls bouncing away, all that thing. We're going to solve all of this in this entire video. So make sure you tune on to the end. Now, this reaction time modifier, apparently this is causing delay. We know what it does in gameplay, but it's also causing delay in menus. People are saying that their gameplay is being affected. Me personally, I have not noticed the difference, but people are swearing by this. To turn the reaction time modifier off, it can help if you're having laggy gameplay, especially in the menus, but I'm not on a menu stream anyway. And then on the graphics mode, just behind the camera, you can see over here, graphics mode, I'd recommend favor resolution. You could argue lower the resolution. It's not like that per se, but you're just basically reducing some of the enhanced visuals, like, the effects on the ground and stuff like that, and ray tracing. Now, personally, I leave this on enhanced visuals myself because I'm recording cinematics, but you should leave this on favor resolution. Apparently, this is helping keep the FPS and also reducing delay as well, especially stutter lag. That's what I wanted to say. Now, these I've already gone through in my other video. Check out my controller settings video. One thing I want to say is, so before we go on to camera settings, something very, very important. Number one, make sure this is on player name indicator. Every single year, I always get asked, why do I leave this on player name indicator? Do you want, for example, someone to have the ball and their player number is 99? You don't want that. You want to know, for example, if Mbappe is on the ball, then I have Mbappe on the ball. I know Mbappe is a right-footed player, 5-star weak. He hasn't got a 5-star weak foot, so I can push him on his left foot. Very, very important. You don't want their online name. Make sure it's player name indicator, especially at this stage of the game. Very, very important. The player indicator size, I actually leave this on large. I think visually it helps me, because I can see their name larger and I can see what player it is. Now, this also is got to do with delay. So play styles plus overhead indicators. This one you leave on because you see the next player. All this, apart from precision pass stuff, all this other rubbish I've turned off, okay? So hypermotion, insight overlays, player performance widget. Now, I know for a fact these actually can cause delay and lag because of the way the game's loading these things up, or you can get those screen up, maybe delay per se, but stuttering. So I've turned all these off. The only thing I've left on is the chalkboard because sometimes the formation doesn't change, just so visually, but I'm eventually going to turn that off as well. And like underfoot player highlight, like I don't want this nonsense. I've turned all of this on off. That way the game's going to load less stuff and bit less delay, especially if you're on PC, it'll make a big difference. But remember last year, if you left this on, this caused delay last year. Remember that big issue with this? So I've turned this off as well. That's what I've done in terms of those settings. Now, the rest is completely fine. Your accessibility, you can, of course, do that however you want to. Now, let's go over the camera settings. Now, this is very, very important I explain this, okay? Do you want to get better at FC25? Now, before you skip ahead, what if I told you if you joined my FC school and you didn't get better after 1 month, I'll refund your money? I can say this because I've been running my FC school for many, many years and thousands of students join and even stay on. We go over complete in-depth gameplay tutorials showing you both the theory of something and the gameplay examples using real-life examples in a structured format that's like a course. The videos are on a systematic learning system teaching you everything from the core mechanics, the basics to the meta so you can get better as a whole with explanations that go beyond the scope of my YouTube channel. FC School has already started with every single tactical layout, focuses, meta cards, and learn the meta before it even becomes the meta. So come join thousands of others in a mature audience community for those looking to get better at FC25, patreon.com/nilguides, or click the link down below. Now, when you join, we already have a library of hundreds of videos, more than my YouTube channel, in fact, with new videos on FC25 getting constantly added so you'll never run out of content. The biggest mistake people do is they spend thousands of dollars on FP points every year thinking this will make them better, but it won't. But now it's time for you to make that change. Don't forget, if you don't get better after 1 month, just send me a message and I'll refund your money. That's the Nil Guides guarantee. Links down below in the description, patreon.com/nilguides. This camera settings video is the only video you're ever going to need, okay? I'm going to explain to you what I use and what the pros use. Now, first of all, okay, now I'm gone in the game. Now, this is very, very important. I'll show you this, okay? Now, you can see, for example, like here, if I go over here to settings, this is the best way you can see it. I go to game settings and then I go to camera. Now, the thing is, you can see with the co-op camera angle over here, you can see a lot of the pitch. If you're struggling with right stick switching, co-op camera angle is the best to use. Pro players use it as well, okay? There's 4 reasons. Number 1, because the camera angle is vertical, well, technically it's horizontal, but you're viewing it from a vertical, the camera is not slanting, your right stick switching will be more accurate because when you flick the right analog stick to the left-hand side, that is also where your eyes are looking. If you have this on broadcast, for example, where the camera angle is angled, if you flick it to the left, it's not going to go to your center back, it will go to someone else. So you have to flick it at a slanted angle as well. So technically speaking, for the best competitive advantage, you want to use co-op, okay? Second of all, for precision shooting, this is the best camera angle to aim your shots as well because of how the camera angle perception is, okay? And then it's the best for information. Now you're gonna say to me, don't some of the pros use telebroadcast? They use both, to be honest. They use both, okay? The thing is with telebroadcast is you can't see all the pitch. So for example, like here, how do I know what's going on, for example? Like what if there's a player making a run in behind? I can't see that. Do you see that? I can't see that. Now, a lot of the top tier players, they use the radar. Now, unless you're watching this and you're glancing at the radar literally every 3 seconds, and I doubt you're watching this video if you're that player, I don't know what's going on the left-hand side. But you see, if I go back into settings over here, and then I go over with back to camera, and I go to co-op, you can see, look, now I can see, look, there's a player in behind. I would have never seen that player. So you could argue, even though you think it doesn't, it actually gives you a tactical advantage because you can see players before your opponent's triggering. Like that player could be triggered in behind and you could be screwed. So not only can you see players early, like as you can see, look at that. You only saw that player now where it was on cop. You saw that player the entire time. So not only did you see the player early, it allows you to defend better because then you can switch to the right player. If there's a player in the way, you know, okay, if I right stick switch, I might have to go back twice. So I use co-op. What I use a custom height. So you can see when the height is down, it kind of goes more like you're sitting on a stage, like on a sideline. You want more of a top-down view. That way you can see the distance very clearly between the two players. I can see the distance between the two players. The more slanted you are, those two, if your camera angle is viewing this way and you see two players, those players, it's going to be hard to see. But if you see on top, you can see the distance between them much easier. So it's very, very effective to see the higher height. Now, zoom, this will now depend on you. This is the thing that everyone gets confused. It depends on your TV. Now, I'm sitting next to the monitor. I'm going to reach my hand out. My hand, basically, I've got long hands, but my hands, I can have the monitor in front of me. It's 27-inch, okay? So I'm on 0 zoom. I can see everything perfectly here. I don't need to zoom in. I can dribble perfectly. If you're sitting here and you're like, okay, you're playing with a 24-inch, for example, what I would say is go to camera and then you can zoom in, for example, a bit more. I would not recommend going all the way to 20. I'll explain that in a second though. But I'd recommend 0 zoom. The more you can see, the better it is. And don't forget, every stadium has a different camera. So you always want to be zoomed out, okay? So that's what I would recommend. This far side focus, don't bother with it. I just leave it on 10. But the lower you go, the more south you go in theory from the camera. And the ball tracking speed, basically, this makes the game feel faster. So if you really want the game to feel faster, you can increase this. Now, a lot of people say, oh, I cannot believe I'm even going over this, right? But some people give to me, co-op causes delay. How can co-op cause delay? People say the gameplay is slower. Obviously, if you zoomed out, the game's going to move slower. Like people say, oh, with a co-op camera angle, the gameplay slow. How can the gameplay be slow for one person and then be faster for another person? It's all about perception. You know, if I went like this in front of your eye, you're going to see it moving very quickly. But if I go further away and go like that, you're not going to see it moving as quickly. So it's all about perception. So people don't understand. Of course, it doesn't cause delay. Now, so that's what I'd recommend. A lot of the pro players are also using this as well. And what they may do is they may zoom into 10 because that can be more effective as well. Then one thing I'd recommend as well is turning off this power shot zoom. Or every time you do a power shot, that's going to keep zooming back and forward, back and forward. Now, so that is one variation the pros use. The second variation is they use is telebroadcast. Now, as I mentioned to you, this could be better if you sit, I would say, you've got a massive TV, 40-inch TV, and you sit far away, okay? You can see more of the pitch. Now, even with 0 zoom, you can see it's fairly zoomed in still, but it's still vertical. So actually aiming your left analog stick with precision shooting is very identical to the co-op camera angle. So depending on what camera angle you change, it will actually affect that. So one thing I want to mention to you is what the pros are using and what's notably known as it's called 17-3. Okay, this is what a lot of the pro players, I think one pro just did it, everyone just started copying them. 17-2, 17-3 is kind of the sweet spot, is what all the pro players are using on telebroadcast. But again, if you're asking me, and everyone that I teach, use co-op. You can see the most information on the pitch. When you're a pro player, it's fine because they're reacting to situations before you even thought about it. The chances are you're watching this video, you don't even know what camera settings to use in the first place. You're probably going to be delayed in your switching. So you're going to be reacting thereafter. So it's important to understand what's going on in the pitch and see everything in detail. Very, very, very important. But that is the best camera settings that you can use. Again, a lot of the pros are always glancing at the radar. Just remember that. So that's the reason why they don't need information, because they're always looking at the radar. As you get more and more high level, you won't need to see the game as much. The way you would know if you're that level just look at the radar the entire game. If you can play the game just looking at the radar, you would know at that point that you're good enough to control the game, understand when to move away with just looking at the radar. A lot of pros can do, even I can do, anyone can do it when you're good enough. But then if you want the in between, let's say you're like, okay, you know what? No, I need the in between. Just go 17 and 20 and 20 like that. If let's say you're like, okay, you know what? I like them both, but I still think co-op is too zoomed out. Do this. So at least you got the telebroadcast style zoom, but at least you can see everything. Maybe not the most information, but you can see a majority of it. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my second channel, Nail Guides, too, if you want exclusive release of tactics. I'm also releasing tactics this year, evolutions and everything, and some more shorthand tutorials on my second channel. And if you want to test tactics out before they get released on this channel, you can check it out patreon.com Neil Guys 2 on YouTube. And if you want to join my FC School Series, patreon.com/Neil Guys. Links down below in the description. If you don't get better after 1 month, we'll refund your money. That's a Neil Guys guarantee, or you can click over here. And thanks for watching. Take it easy and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.